Hello everybody and welcome. It's been a while since I made any kind of video, and it's certainly been a while since we talk about Ori Collection. Well, this video isn't really about Ori Collection because Ori Collection is dead and buried and it's never coming back, and that's life. That's life. I'm sorry to say, but we have the new game, which is called Weekly Shonen Jump Ori Collection 2 Jump Hero Taisen. We are going to be referring to that as Jump Taisen simply because it's not Ori Collection. It's just not. It's a different. It's not even close. It's not even close to the same game. And I've seen a lot of different reactions about it. And I've actually recorded this video a couple of times and stopped and just like kind of scrapped what I'd written because I wanted to be fair. I wanted to give it a fair amount of playtime, and I wanted to see what I really thought about the game. And what I really did think about the game was, you know what? It's not bad. The gameplay is not bad. There are parts of it that I hate. I don't like the way the gacha is done. There are certain little things really that really grind my gears. You know, the constant push notifications, which you can turn off. To be fair, you can turn them off. And just little bits about, you know, the way you power up characters and the way you're supposed to grind on this game. There's a lot of things that get to me. And the biggest one of those is that this is a copy and paste of another game, Summoner's War, with Weekly Shonen Jump assets. That's it. That's, you know, that's the thing that really gets me. But as a game, as a product, if I separate it from Ori Collection, if I pretend Ori Collection never existed, and this is just a brand new Weekly Shonen Jump game, it's okay. It's okay. I would say the roster is not quite what I wanted it to be, but it's a lot closer than something like Jump Force was. There's a little bit more love for certain series, and you can tell that going forward they're going to be adding some more. We know Tanjiro's coming. We know there's still a lot of big series that haven't had any kind of inclusion, and while some of those might be omitted, you know, down the line we can expect to see, you know, Black Clover. We can expect to see probably... Actually, we haven't got any sports series in here as far as I can recall. No Kuroko, no Prince of Tennis, no Slam Dunk, no Hinamaru Zumo, no Haikyuu. I can't think of any. That's disappointing. But it is what it is. You know, what has been done has been done. So I wanted to be fair and just play it. So I did. I have just, you know, they gave us a fuckload of stamina to, you know, get started, whatever. And I've just been going, and I've just been trying to see how I'm supposed to play the game. Because I went into it thinking of it as Ori 1. It's not that game. Even though it has the tagline of everybody can be evolved, everyone could be awakened, which was kind of the same deal as Ori Collection, it's not like that. It doesn't work that way. Because in Ori Collection, when Kurapika came out, I could pull him at 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. And no matter what, it was still Kurapika. I could still awaken him and I would still have Jump Kurapika. That doesn't exist in this game. The 3-stars are the 3-stars in the gacha, the 4-stars are the 4-stars, and the 5-stars are the 5. If you pull Jotaro, you can't pull him at 3-star, you can't pull him at 4-star, you can pull him at 5-star. So, essentially they've shifted it so that pulling 5-stars is better, which makes sense. But they made the rates tragically low. Tragically low. Now, I'm hoping that's just because, you know, it's the starter banner and, you know, everybody's got all these tickets and orbs from Ori Collection. They, you know, they don't want to bankrupt themselves straight away. And that might also be why the roster is a little bit tighter than maybe it would have been. You know, we know that Tanjiro, like, he is already finished. He was shown in promotional work for the game on Google Play. So he was ready to go, but he's not in the starting roster. A lot of characters aren't in the starting roster. So I wonder if that's why things have been done the way they've been done. And I'll be honest, I could live with the 0.5% 5-star rate if it was the old Ori Collection style, where I could still get Jotaro at 3-star, and I could level him up to 5-star, and, you know, along the way, sure, it's going to be harder, because grinding in this game to get your levels up and awaken is kind of a nightmare, but I would still be able to pull him. I would still have Jotaro at some point down the line. Instead, it's a 0.5% chance to pull one of the 5 stars. If you want one specific one, it's a little bit harder. And that brings me on to the other major thing I kind of had an issue with, and that was the colour system. We have, like, basically one of every colour for each character. That's not strictly true, because there's certain characters where 1 or 2 colours are missing. There's some characters like Naruto where I think there's only 2 colours. And there's some characters that just aren't obtainable in Gacha. You can only get them PvP or from some kind of story mode, or in Naruto's case, the character fusion. I don't know how I feel about the character fusion yet, but that's because it's only been like a few days, and I don't know how realistically difficult it's going to be to get him. As far as I can tell, it's going to be quite difficult. But from what I've heard about Summoner's War, you have as much time as you need to get him, and he's a fantastic unit. So it's kind of a toss-up. It's kind of a trade-off. Like I said, I don't really know how I feel about that just yet. But I will say the gameplay's pretty satisfying. The game runs pretty well. The only issue I had with the gameplay was the cutscenes, because they just went on and on and on, and I'm spam clicking and it's going on and on. I understand that there's probably some immersion element if you can read Japanese and you can understand what's going on in the story, but you know, this is a mobile gacha game. I don't care. I don't care. You know, I played loads of these games, and all I ever did when I was playing these was skip through the cutscenes, because I have no investment. Even the ones that were English and I could read them, I had no investment in the story. That's not why I'm playing this game. So that kind of brings us around to something that I want to kind of... There was a comment I made, I can't remember where it was, I think it might have been on Terry's stream at some point. I basically said, like, the move to the models is such a bad idea, they look so bad, all this stuff. The game is out, the models look pretty good. I have to give credit where credit's due, the models look pretty good. The pre-release material kind of made them look awful, and some of them still don't look amazing. But in general, I think they've done a pretty decent job. I would say it feels like there's a lot more like love, care, and attention put into the sprites of Jumputi, because they're really trying to emulate the artist's style. They haven't really done that here. But it's still pretty decent, and I would say the only models I outright have a problem with are Jotaro and Dio, because there's just something really off about them. Other than that, pretty good. As for the animations, I would say probably about 75% of them are fine. It's just, there's a few in there that it's just like, what? Like an example would be one that you're going to see a lot if you play through the tutorial or whatever, is Jaggy from Hokuto no Ken. His special where he just like is just swinging his arms like crazy. It looks so dumb on the model. It looks so dumb. I wonder if that's just kind of like the limitations of the medium. You know, Hokuto no Ken is a lot about like moving faster than the eye can see, being stronger than anything, you know. Just like these crazy feats of strength that you just wouldn't believe. So it's understandable that maybe sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to emulate. But I would say I don't think this game is bad. And the first 2 videos I was going to make and going to upload, I was basically going to say, I'm pissed off, this game's bad, Ori Collection's dead, this has upset me, whatever. But I've given it some time, and I want to be properly fair and say, if I treat this as what it is, which is a sequel of Ori Collection, it is not that. And in that sense, it is abysmal. But treating it as its own separate game, it's not too bad. I will give it time to try and like it might improve, it might get better down the line. I just want to give it a go. I just want to see where they go with it, because there is undoubtedly potential here. Whether that potential comes to fruition, we'll have to wait and see. And that's really going to depend on the devs. And this is where I kind of have to be critical and have to get real with you. The devs for Ori Collection 1 sucked. Maybe it wasn't just the devs' fault. Maybe part of it comes down to, you know, a public relations team or a community manager or something like that. But the lack of communication was horrific. The inability to implement ideas from fans and to make improvements where fans were requesting it was really a bad look for them, especially when other games were going out of their way to do that. You know, we didn't really have any live streams where we're going to announce stuff or special events where we're going to release information. They didn't really do anything like that, except for Slam Dunk, I guess, which was like right at the start of the first year. And I think they killed their own game. Now, there will be people that have other theories as to why the game died, and, you know, I don't know if anything for certain, so I can't say for sure. But to me, it really did look like the game died because parts of it were too complicated, but they, instead of stepping away from PvP and trying to invest time and effort elsewhere and try and make that profitable, they went gung-ho into PvP, and the cooldowns were getting too short, and the skills were getting too complicated, and the countering meta was very difficult to balance. And all it took was one unit to break everything. And they were trying very hard to balance it, to be fair, but when you put that much effort into doing that, you put yourself in a situation where releasing new units takes an incredible amount of time. Which is why the content stream was so small, and that was another thing. The content release was too slow. There was not enough content each week. But this game doesn't have the same excuses, man. I have to, you know, put my foot down somewhere as a consumer, as somebody who is playing the game, and, you know, spending money on the game potentially. I haven't spent any on this one yet, but I did spend on the old game. You kind of have to put your foot down and say, okay, so realistically, what's your excuse for not releasing good amounts of content? Now, we started the game with a lot of content, but that's the start of the game. They had well over a year to prepare for this, and the game itself is just a copy and paste of another game. So all they had to do was do some new artworks, do some new designs on top of what was already there, and they were done. That was all there was to it. So, oh, my phone's gonna die. So, now that that's done, bear in mind they had well over a year to do this, because yes, the maintenance was like quote unquote only a year. It wasn't really, the maintenance was only like a week or so, but the game was in a coma for a year. But they had so much of this game already finished at that mark when they announced this update. They were already showing off, you know, in-engine stuff, the cutscenes and stuff, which obviously parts of it do look different, but not that different. Not that different. And look, the bottom line is, if they can keep releasing content, they can make the gacha system less stingy when it comes to special gacha. Obviously, this is the starter gacha. I don't necessarily expect it to be good. But if we're not going to have any guarantees and we're going to be sitting on 0.5% rates and we can only do single summons on every banner, that's bad. I shouldn't have to say that's bad because, I mean, it should be obvious, but that's bad, okay? And anybody that might draw comparisons to Summoner's War and the way that game is quite profitable and it's doing quite well. That's great, and I don't doubt that this game can be profitable and can be enjoyable. But unless it at least captures some of why people wanted to play Ori Collection 1, then any Ori Collection fans just aren't going to care anymore, and they're just going to stop playing. Once they've used up all their tickets and stones that they got for free, and there's no more incentive to play the game, they're just going to stop playing. And that's going to be that. At the moment, as far as I can see, like, the way they release Spirit Orbs is incredibly stingy. Seemingly, the only way you can get them is, like, through a few missions that give you hardly any, and PvP, which is going to be the main focus of this game. There's no doubt about that. So, look, I don't know. Let's get to the final point here. The final point is, I'm playing it, and I don't hate it. But I hate that Ori Collection had to die in order for this to exist, and I hate a lot of the things that this game does. And I'm just hoping that the dev team or a community manager or somebody involved in this game can say, we have an opportunity here, we have access to a ton of different rights from a ton of different Shonen Jump series, we have access to beloved characters from throughout the years, we have an opportunity to make something really special here. Let's not fuck it up, and let's talk to the fans, let's see what the fans want, let's have live streams where we try and get people involved, let's try and have Twitter campaigns where we get people involved, let's just not go through the motions just because this game is a clone of Summoner's War, and let's really have at it, because this is, these Shonen Jump games don't happen that often. There is as many like Hunter x Hunter games in the last 10 years as there is Shonen Jump games. No, there's more. There's more Hunter x Hunter games than there have been Shonen Jump games. And Jump Taisen died, but lack of content again was an issue, and there was major server problems with PvP. Then you've got Jump Hootie, which is a game that I love, and a game that seems to be thriving, and I really want it to do well. Then you have Ori Collection 1 that died because, again, lack of content. If you look at this, you can see which game is thriving right now. That's Jump Hootie, and the reason Jump Hootie is thriving is because they're putting the effort in. They're implementing features that fans want. They're adding series and characters that fans want. They're trying. They might misstep sometimes, there might be server problems sometimes, and yes, the chibi characters and the gameplay isn't for everybody. But they're trying. That's all you can ask at the end of the day, and if it's not for you, then that's fine, and you can step away and you can play something else, and there's no problem with that. But Ori Collection was for a lot of people. There were a lot of people that enjoyed that game, and that game is now dead. This game has an opportunity to not be a successor, but to at least try and capture some of what made that game good. And while a lot of that stuff is gone, I'm hoping that they can say, okay, well, we've been getting a lot of shitty feedback on Twitter, people saying, why did all this good stuff have to go for this game to exist? And they can say, well, alright, we don't have manga panels and stuff in animations right now, but maybe later when we release special units we can add that, and maybe we don't need to have a million different colours of each character. Maybe we could just release characters that are one colour. Like, there's no reason to have 4 Tanjiros when he comes out and 6 Gohans, and we don't need this. Start it slow, sure, because you've got that base roster to work off of. But once you get a month, 2 months down the line, the content stream's got to be at least 10 units a month. Bare minimum 10 units a month. If we're not seeing that, I'm not impressed. Because you've had so much time. And you threw away... This is a thing. This is a reason why some of the Ori Collection fans are very understandably angry. Because they put time and money into that game, and that's all been deleted. It's gone. And yeah, that does happen anytime a game shuts down and instead you're getting compensation, but the compensation was specifically done in a way that it wouldn't prevent them from making money later. The tickets have a time limit on them. You have to use them within a certain amount of days, otherwise you're shit out of luck. Admittedly, I do believe that is about half a year, something like that. You do have time, but they're restricting you. And the orbs aren't as valuable as they used to be, and they give out not that many of them, but when you get them, you'll have all these different things to spend them on, and it kind of puts you in a bad situation because, okay, let's say I've got 7,000 orbs, that's great, but there's so many different things I need to buy. And once I buy them, you know, how am I getting those orbs back? The only way is to spend. So I can choose not to buy those things, I can save up my orbs, but all I'm really going to use them for otherwise is on the gacha. And the rates are so shitty on the gacha that that's not worth it either. So they've nerfed a lot of things that were kind of good about Ori Collection. They've improved their approach to sales, I would say. But they've been very aggressive from day one, and what's the moral of the story here? The moral of the story, I don't know. I'm gonna play the game, and we'll see. We'll see. I don't expect it to be anything like Ori Collection, but I hope they learned from Ori Collection. At bare minimum, I hope they learned what they did wrong, and they fix those things. And I hope that over time they realise the things that they did right, and they go back and revisit some of those things. Beyond that, there's not a lot to say. I'm gonna play it a little bit, I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm still gonna continue to play Jumputi. There's gonna be Jumputi content, don't worry. I've even got some summons and stuff going up, hopefully Thursday. And that's the end of today's video. We're gonna have a more traditional set of videos on this game later, but I think for the first episode, for the first time we're talking about this game, it just made more sense to do it this way. It made more sense to get my thoughts out there, and I kind of want to know what other people's thoughts are, because most people, I think, were very negative about the way this has been handled, and I just kind of want to see, you know, what is it you're going to miss about Ori Collection? Is there a way that these devs can get you back in their favour in a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year? Is there a way we can get back on track and this can actually be a sequel to Ori Collection and not its own stupid bullshit? And are there any of you that are just enjoying it? I mean, you know, I assume that a lot of people don't like it. I've seen a lot of people saying they don't like it, but I've also seen people happily doing their pulls and having fun. So that's where we'll end the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope to see some feedback in the comments. And there will be more content on this game, and there will be more content on Jumputi. But for now, I'll see you later.